And welcome to the Libertarian Affiliate Spotlight, a production of the Libertarian Party, LPTV, Libertarian Party Affiliate Support Committee, Valerie Sarwak as chair, and of course, the Libertarian National Committee, Joe Bishop Henchman, chair. As always, John Gapso is on the big board. My name is Pat Ford, and I am your host. We always open up one of these shows with our purposes. We want to focus on all the affiliates from across the United States and eventually, hopefully, overseas. We want to talk about their best practices. We want to talk about upcoming events. We want to talk about activism. We want to talk about their candidate selection process. We want to talk about nothing less than their get out the vote effort. Because we have an outstanding network nationally of affiliates from the largest state to the smallest state, like Rhode Island, from big city affiliates like Chicago and Los Angeles, down to counties in some of the most prettiest, most rural areas in America. And they've all got a story to tell, and we're going to tell it. We've got a wonderful future as a party, as a philosophy, as a movement, for a couple of reasons. Number one, the most important of all, we're right. We speak with a purpose, a moral clarity, and despite our agreements and disagreements over how we handle special issues, some of the aspects, the implementation of our philosophy, how we get from point A to point Z, we are still the party of principle. Joining me tonight is, as always, a very special guest, someone I got to know during my brief tenure on the Libertarian National Committee, someone who is an effective businessman, he's an effective libertarian, he's an effective national leader, and of course, he is the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Florida. Welcome, Stephen Nekhalia. Stephen, welcome to the Libertarian Affiliate Spotlight.
Well, thanks for having me, Pat.
We've got a chance to meet on the fly a variety of times. I think a lot of folks miss the in-person nature of some of the LNC meetings because they create bonds and conversations and just a recognition of all of our talents individually. I certainly look forward to, as just a regular member, attending some meetings in the future and hopefully get a chance to connect in person. But again, your work and the work of the Libertarian Party of Florida has been a trendsetter for a number of years in establishing everything from affiliate practices on up to generating new membership. And of course, some epic efforts, particularly in this last campaign, at generating great candidates across the state. Tell us a little bit about your background. We always ask, what was that libertarian moment? And then we'll kind of morph into a conversation about the state of Florida. The party, you folks have always been a hot spot per se, bad yes. Pun intended. It is politically, I think the term, as one of our former presidents would have said it, is nuclear. And we want to talk all about that tonight.
But again, we'll get into the details.
Right, absolutely. But how did you arrive at your libertarian moment when you became that libertarian?
Well, everybody has their story, how they became a libertarian. And for me, it started out, I think it really started in high school when I started to get a little bit more politically conscious and involved. And I read Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, which really expanded my horizons. Then I started to get into the Ron Paul movement. I wasn't even 18 yet. I was registered Republican for about a month until Ron Paul lost a primary, and I discovered Gary Johnson at Paul Fest in Tampa, and that's when I immediately switched over to Libertarian. Then I got involved with the Libertarian Party of the Florida Keys. I'm a founding member of that affiliate as treasurer for the past 7 years ongoing now. Became a region rep in the Libertarian Party of Florida for Region 14 back in, I think it was 2015 or 2016. And in the meantime, I've served as party treasurer as well as an at-large officer before running for chair. And I've also been a part of the Libertarian National Committee for the last almost 5 years now. So it's been a long time. I've been involved in movement for a long time. And it's just something I'm really, really passionate about, and something that I believe that we can change the world. We can make a difference if we work together and be a part of that greater force, which is the Libertarian Party, of course.
Talk about then your move up through the party. You are a young man. And it's a testament to your work ethic and the talent here that you became chairman of possibly one of the more sophisticated, more complex, more nuanced Libertarian affiliates, and you came from, and we don't need to get into this, but per se,
Sure.
but you actually helped bring the party back together after a time of controversy.
Sure. Yeah. So, well, the Libertarian Party of Florida, I've been involved, like I said, for a number of years, and started out, I think, when I was just becoming a member of my local affiliate. I wasn't even old enough to drink. And so now it's been quite a ways down the road. I've worked my way up the ladder. And basically, my big thing is I'll never say no to an opportunity. I really believe in the step up culture of the party, and everybody has, we're capitalists, but we love free labor. And so we love volunteer effort and work, and that's what we put into the party to make it special and build on it. And the party's built on all of our personalities, all of our traits, all of our collective wisdom and knowledge and effort builds this platform, builds this party. And that's really what it's all about. And so going into it, I've just worked my way up, and the opportunity presented itself where there was a pathway to the chairmanship. And so I decided to give it a run. I decided to give it a go. And my platform has always been that I want to be a uniter. I want to bring people together on the main goal, because I really believe that oftentimes as libertarians, we like to get at each other's throats sometimes because that's in our nature, but we're very individualistic. But when we have a common goal and we can work towards that common goal, we tend to put those things aside and we work together. And it's a common medium that we can all work towards making, building and creating and making successful. So that's been my job as chair, is to make sure that what I'm doing is making sure that we're setting out goals to attain that are going to be bettering our party and making something that we can truly be proud of, especially going in at a time of great strife at the time for the LPF. So I think we've made a long way, and we still have a long way to go, but I am very proud of our team and our people and our members here in Florida. We have one of the most, actually probably the most diverse affiliate, just in terms of not even just nationalities, but just the types of people that we have in our affiliate. Florida is a very diverse state. You've got the Keys, you've got Miami, which is basically northern Havana. You've got Central Florida, then you've got lower southern Alabama and South Georgia up there by the Panhandle. So we've got a wide range of individuals, a lot of different opinions, and I'm happy to be working with such a great group of people.
How would you describe your management style? Now, folks know that you're involved as an entrepreneur in the fast casual food market for a couple of different organizations that you folks have investments in. Have you learned from that in terms of, because again, in that format, you're dealing with an incredibly wide range of skills, talents, people, all of which, particularly in that format, are equally important to each other.
Absolutely. Well, we are in QSR, quick service restaurants, which is basically fast food. We're in a Wendy's franchise. I'm also a franchisor of Dairy Queen in Tavernier, my hometown where I went to high school, right down the street, actually. We have 8 locations with the Wendy's. We're going on 9. We've got Dairy Queen, and we also have the Island Grill and Island Mirada. So I've been working since I was 13 in the family business and other businesses as well. And those skill sets definitely play into how I manage my father, who basically was an immigrant from Egypt, from Cairo, came to this country and built this all from nothing. And so he makes sure that I follow in his footsteps, and he makes sure that I'm learning, and he doesn't go easy on me, believe me, even if I'm his son. If anything, it makes sure I work even harder. With those systems, with Wendy's and everything else, DQ, the Island Grill, you're working with teams, you're working with hundreds of people through a hierarchy, and you're working to make things happen. You have restaurant goals, you've got store goals, you got team goals, personal goals, and that plays into my sort of leadership style, where I really like to empower people. I want people to be able to grow, and quite frankly, I love to build the bench of folks that want to excel and go higher and higher in their position in the party, and also do better where they are. I also make sure my team knows exactly what I know, and that we're all on the same page, and that we're in alignment on what our goals are and why we do certain things. And if I make a decision, I always make sure to do a job of explaining as much as possible why the decision was made and where we're going, and so on and so forth, because I think that The most important thing for a team is, number one, being in alignment, of course. And that also goes for factions in the party as well, but also coming together for common goals. And I have a vision deck that's available that shows all of our different goals through all the different committees, et cetera, where we're going, where we want to be at, and over the next year and into the future. So I like to plan ahead. I like to give that vision and empower my folks. So it definitely plays over a whole ton. I really do believe that 100%.
No, and I appreciate that perspective, because it's so important as a leader. You know, one of the quotes that a dear friend of mine once said to me is that you can never fire a volunteer. And volunteers, as opposed to employees per se, have a unique challenge in that
Yes.
they don't have to be there. They want to be in most cases. There's different motivations for them. And it's so easy to lose their interest if, in fact, they don't feel welcome. How does LPF, you know, again, against the backdrop of such a diverse community, economically, I mean, just virtually a mosaic of America, how do you motivate volunteers?
Well, that's a good question. And that's probably the number one question, right? Always our biggest opportunity is getting more and more volunteers and getting people in that are willing to work and want to do the job. The number one way you do that is to make sure that you're being constructive with their time. So that means making sure that whoever's guiding that committee, those committee chairs are also leaders and empowering your committee chairs to do good work. The way I do that is we have a call every Sunday where all the committee chairs hop on the call and we talk about what we're doing, what help do we need, how can we help each other out. All the committee chairs get on this call and we just brainstorm. We do a roundtable type discussion. There's no real set agenda, and from there things just kind of expand and expand and expand, and we come up with all these ideas, and people are helping each other out, and it's really beautiful. And we just workshop, and that keeps those committee chairs sharp and keeps them competitive, and that goes up into their committees. And contribution motivation works too. Yes, motivating people is important, especially with what's going on nowadays with COVID and everything else. People need to feel like what they're working towards is actually productive use of their time, and that it's something that's larger than themselves. And that's one thing that I think the Libertarian Party is a body for, is being a part of something that's larger than ourselves, larger than just a unit of one. When we work together, we're larger than the sum of our parts. And so keeping people motivated, and making sure that if there's turnover, you know, we either talk to those people and say, hey, look, you know, okay, you know, if they're not showing up to meetings, we get rid of those people and we stack the committees with volunteers that want to help. Because if you're the only one in the committee that's doing anything, then obviously it's like being in the class project back in high school. And I don't know if you were one of the kids that always was the one doing something or not. I was both at many points. So
Right, same here. I depended on the project. All right.
So I think that making sure, you know, people feel that the people in their group are actually empowered and on the right path is very important to making sure committees are working. And a lot of times as chair, you know, we are chairmen, women, and committee leaders. And, you know, we're not just managers. You know, sometimes there's no HR in the Libertarian Party. We also need to work with people. And anytime you have people, there's going to be conflict. And knowing how to work with people is one of the most important skills you can have as a Libertarian, because believe me, you're going to use it. And knowing how to get people to work together, smooth over rough edges, and make shit happen is definitely a skill set that is developed over time.
If you're just joining us, folks, Stephen Nekhalia is on the line. He, of course, is a member of the Libertarian National Committee, but tonight he's having a conversation, his role, his perspective, and his style, and a conversation about the Libertarian Party of Florida, arguably one of the most successful affiliates in the nation. Last management question per se.
Sure.
One of the most compelling challenges we face now as libertarians in the mode we're in right now, and all organizations go through stages, right? You know, you've got the type of leader that's starry-eyed and the visionary, who's able to perhaps bring together an organization, perhaps respond to a question or a market need that no one knew they ever had. And then, of course, you've got various steps in the organization's maturity, its progression. The difference being in political organizations, of course, there's this constant 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps. It's cyclical. People come, people go. A lot depends very often on the chemistry. There's so many intangibles, but one of our biggest challenges in our organization is integrating people who are at different stages of their libertarian journey. You have folks who, for example, so many folks came to us from the Ron Paul movement in recent years. Some of our finest leaders, some of the most dedicated volunteers. I often wonder if the Republican Party truly understands what they lost in terms of people and philosophy and character strength and skills by treating Ron Paul as badly as they did at the Democratic National Convention. I believe, to tell you the truth, that was the beginning of the end for the Libertarian Party. That's how important teamwork and chemistry and the individuals are. But how does LPF, when you have someone who comes in who is not 100% libertarian, they're not that, they're not running for the platform committee anytime soon. They don't even know, they come from an organization that may never really have even had a meaningful platform, i.e. the Republican parties or the Democratic Party. Sorry, those cheap shots were the opinion of station management. But so how do you bring people into the fold? What kind of conversations do you have, not only just with them, but with your team leaders, who are very often the very first people that these new libertarians will encounter?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it starts with meeting people where they are. Everybody's at a different stage in their journey towards libertarianism. And a lot of us like to, you think you're a libertarian, or you identify as a libertarian. Let me start quoting Rothbard and Mises and Hayek and all these other philosophers dating back to the 17th century and see how libertarian you really are. And that's not the way to do it. The cool thing about being a libertarian is that we're all ambassadors for the cause. For most people, you say you're a libertarian, they're going to say, hey, what's that? What's a libertarian? Are you some kind of liberal? Are you some kind of, what does a libertarian mean? What does that even mean, libertarian? So you get to be the ambassador right there. There's a running joke on the LNC that if we wanted to really put money into outreach, we would just sponsor Uber drives with the Libertarian National Committee and just run Uber rides all day. Because when we're going to these LNC meetings from the airport, you might have 5, 10, 15 minutes with an Uber or Lyft driver talking to them on the way there. And we all have stories, showing up at the airport about how we talked our Uber driver into being a libertarian. So in a way, we are evangelicals and we do preach about our philosophy. And it's something that we're obviously very passionate about, because it goes beyond, it's a political philosophy, but it's also something deeply ingrained in us and our philosophy of freedom and moral freedom and everything else. So we like to talk about it. Now, on a personal level, when I see people that are kind of, you can already tell they're on that cusp, they're a libertarian, but they just don't know it yet. I'll just start talking about libertarianism and how it affected me, how, what the ideology means to me, how it applies to the situation right now. And you won't believe how many times, I can walk around, and especially during COVID, we had a lot of people that were self-described conservatives or just independents or disenfranchised from the political system that were just pissed off. And a lot of those people were libertarian. You just have to know what wavelength they're on. Not everybody's interested in the war on drugs. Not everybody's interested in guns. Not everybody interested in, the environment. But, somebody is going to be interested in something. And you got to find out, what are they interested? What is their single issue? Where are they at right now? And try to meet them there and talk about it from that angle and find out how can libertarianism, where does that meet their own moral philosophy? One of the cool things, was during this whole COVID thing, the libertarians had a lot of exposure, and I was able to get into the news a lot down here in Key West. And, I would talk about good ideas don't require force, and how the reality of what's really involved here when you have a mandate that you have to have somebody wear a mask when they walk outside their home. Otherwise, they'll get arrested and get a misdemeanor and get thrown in a cage, and how crazy that is, and how that doesn't sound compassionate at all. And so we were very outspoken at City Hall, and we did a lot of community outreach and a lot of community organizing that went a little bit beyond the LP, but was very much a libertarian movement. And so it was a very interesting time. And so I think now, especially with everything going on, this weekend in Broward is the Million Maskless March. So I'm going to try to head up there to go and speak. I don't know how big this crowd is going to be, but it seems like it could be pretty big. I'd love to talk in front of this crowd of people. and not just to them, but the people at home listening that might be wondering, wow, what is this Libertarian Party of Florida? Are they a bunch of anti-maskers? Are they conspiracy theorists? Are they a bunch of what are they about? And so that's going to be my time to say, this is what we are. And you don't have to fit yourself in any mold. You can define yourself and exactly who you are and what you're about. And I think that's also something very empowering. So when you talk to people, you have to meet them at the level that they are, and they'll, over time, believe me, they'll become more and more libertarian. That's how it probably was for all of us. I don't think we woke up one day, and maybe some of us did, and decided, I'm a full-on, just hardcore libertarian. But we ease in, and we have to get to know somebody who is, and then we get to feel that out and learn more about the philosophy. And as we become more of a household name, more people will start to realize what we're about. But in the meantime, we need to be that ambassador.
A big part of that starts, though, at listening, doesn't it?
Big parts listening. Speak. Understand before. I forget it. Speak first to understand before being understood, or something like that. Basically, the saying goes is to shut up and listen.
Right. And that's true whether you're a candidate going out on the campaign trail, knocking on doors, or going to a meetup, or even a Zoom meeting. Simply sitting back and listening to people, understanding their perspective, their point of view, what issues challenge them, where they need to go, and then framing the libertarian philosophy as it affects manners that affect them directly right now. This, as you pointed out so aptly, as much as I enjoy and listening to folks talk about Austrian economics, and there are some people in Rhode Island that are just astonishing in their command of said subject, the average person right now is, there's a lot of fear out there, a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos. Those of us in this bubble who are probably listening right now, a lot of us are probably very certain about our philosophies and our approaches to all these exigent crises that are facing us. I will tell you from my experience, most of the nation is not. And most of the nation is looking for not to be told what to do, but to have a conversation so that they can make their decision on an informed basis and make their decision ultimately about what political path they will follow on an informed basis. Listening is what our mom said, a little, put your listening ears on and your inside voice on. That's still work for me. Or I try to. You talked about issues and as they affect the individual first. Let's before we get into the affiliate structure, let's have a little fun about talking about politics.
Sure.
Florida, I guess politics. What's the term? Mercurial? Is that a good one? I mean, your governor, he who shall not be named, but your governor has gone from, talk about a swing from hero to zero to hero to dunce to apostle to, I don't know. I've been following politics a very, very long time. I don't know if I've ever seen an individual politician at a somewhat national level swing from one characterization to another so many times, so quickly in such a compacted period of time. What are the challenges facing Floridians right now? As we speak, the nation is gathering for a baseball game. In the terms of a former president, wouldn't be prudent, right? Tell us about Florida politics.
Sure. Well, it's been a really interesting year for Florida. In the beginning of COVID back in March, I remember being out in Duval Street, and believe it or not, I saw COVID coming back in January. I actually spoke about it at the February state convention. I spoke a little bit about what was happening in China with the lockdowns, and I spoke about Dr. Wendy Lang, who, if you're not familiar, Dr. Wendy Lang was the person who discovered SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 disease in Wuhan, and he actually blew the whistle at the Wuhan General Medical Center in Wuhan, and he was arrested for quote unquote spreading rumors, and he was later released after signing an affidavit saying that he was spreading rumors, and then he was actually acquitted after a public outrage after he died. He died at the age of 33. Due to complications from COVID-19, and China held the largest public procession form online. It was hundreds of thousands of people, and from all stripes of the Chinese population. Before the censors took it down, it took them like all day to take it down. It usually doesn't take that long. So he was the first casualty by government in this whole COVID catastrophe. So in the beginning of 2020, I remember it was about March 14th or 15th, and it was right around St. Patrick's Day, and they shut down DeVal Street around 5 o'clock. And a bunch of very upset spring breakers had to stop partying midway through the day, and things got generally worse from there. The Florida Keys actually shut down for 2 months. They put a roadblock up on the stretch, which separates Miami or the mainland from the Florida Keys. It was ironic because they did the same thing back in the 80s, and we had the Conquer Public Revolution over it, which was a tongue-in-cheek revolution that was actually very successful because it did lift the roadblock. And if we had enough time, I would talk more about that, but it's a very libertarian thing. Everyone should check it out. It's an amazing story. It actually happened. We're the Conquer Public. We seceded where others failed. So, yeah, a lot of history there. But essentially throughout the whole state, we're a tourist economy, and we were lacking tourism. In the beginning, DeSantis essentially let everyone shut down and had some strong orders to essentially allow to shut down. At that point, the Libertarian Party of Florida sent a letter to DeSantis as a resolution, basically stating that, you must do the right thing, and we condemn these actions by the state, and you must lift these strict lockdown measures. I don't know if we were tipping the scale there or what happened, but later on it seemed like DeSantis did get serious, and he did start to put out some executive orders that would stop certain lockdown and COVID measures, which were then lifted. However, there were still curfews, there were still mask mandates. So it was somewhat of a paper tiger because municipalities were still actively defying those orders, and there really wasn't a lot of enforcement about it. But for the most part, it did get rid of the bulk. And what it also did do is it got rid of some of the stigma of coming down to Florida, so people knew that they could come down and come on vacation. So later on in the year, we did start to see an increase of tourism. And so far this year, it's been a booming year for tourism because where else are you going to go? So we still do face challenges. There are still very many threats against our freedom. There are, of course, still people being shut down. There's curfews. There's local ordinances related to COVID that are still ongoing. And of course, now the latest thing is the COVID passport situation, which the governor did sign an executive order that is not yet through the legislature, but would essentially ban any business or government from trying to impose a passport onto access to any service. Now, I'm not personally for any kind of vaccine documentation, but if you were going to go on a cruise and they wanted to see you were vaccinated, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing for a private business to do. But what's happening now is you've got businesses, not just in Florida, but around the country, that are begging to open and begging the government to allow them open. They're saying, please, we'll do anything if you want for us to require a COVID passport. By God, we'll do it. Just let us open. And so that's what we're seeing a lot of actually happening now, is you're seeing that as people become more comfortable, even still, I think there's going to be the next infringement is going to be on this whole COVID passport situation, and how that's going to be an interesting topic here in the future. But specifically in Florida, we've got quite a few things. Florida has become somewhat of a freer. I guess some people are calling Florida the free state of Florida. We definitely better than many. We still have a lot of headway to go in many areas. Just standard libertarian criminal justice reform and everything else is still a big topic. I love what Oregon did with decriminalizing all drugs. We definitely are looking into. There is still a bit of a crony medical marijuana system here. They're trying to put some things down the pipe as far as caps on THC and things like that. So there's a lot of little things here and there. There's a push for potentially going to open carry. And we're not an open carry state, unfortunately, and different things here and there. But our biggest thing and the most important thing to me personally is to get as many libertarians elected to local nonpartisan offices as possible over the next 2 years. Why nonpartisan? nonpartisans, because the simple reality is that there's a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting a libertarian elected to a partisan office, maybe even slimmer. But there's a 1 in 5 chance of a libertarian getting elected to municipal local office, according to the 2020 LP data. That's right. Out of all municipal libertarians that ran for office, 1 in 5 or 20% got elected to local office. So that's the strategy we use in Florida. We call it Operation First Step. Other states have started to adopt that strategy and have been very successful. Pennsylvania is one of those states, and getting libertarians into local office is the biggest thing we can do to get the word out, to make the biggest impact locally in our lives immediately right now in our communities, to get people familiar with the idea of elected libertarians. And we have to build that base. You have to build out before you can build up. So we need to build out before we build up. We can't just throw all of our chips into one basket and let's say we're going to go for governor or senate or what have you, even though it has been successful in at least one state, Wyoming, with the Libertarian Frontier Project, and hopefully we'll continue to replicate that success into the future, which I know we will. But our strategy is a very practical one. It's a very direct one, and it's one that's achievable, and it's needed as this current step right now is to build that candidate pipeline. And of course, you have candidates that get into lower level office, they move up into upper level office. You create a pipeline underneath them. It's what the Republicans and Democrats do to train their new candidates as well. They create that candidate pipeline. And it's funny because even in races that have been historically uncontested for like 20 years, we'll throw a libertarian into an open seat, and then all of a sudden a Republican or a Democrat will come out of the woodwork and try to keep us out of that office because they understand what we're doing, and we know what they're trying to do too. So getting libertarians those local offices is key. We have a couple dozen libertarians elected right now in the state, and I'd like to see that at least doubled by next year. And consistently, I want to see an exponential growth as far as elected libertarians. And that also is something that coincides with the current growth of the movement, because we're seeing, I'm currently projecting that this is going to be a breakout year for convention, and I think that there's going to be a higher than average number of attendees, and it seems to be the what's going on all around the country. And everyone said the libertarian moment was in 2016, but I think 2020 was also a libertarian moment, and I think that we're going to get more moments, and might be the libertarian decade here in 2020. So we have to be prepared, because when our moment is here, we need to be ready to seize it. And so it's so important to lay the groundwork now and look professional when the time arises.
I agree with you 100%. I happen to be an optimist. I look upon the performance, or as Reason Magazine pointed out, the establishment of a libertarian base as a watershed moment in Libertarian Party history. Nearly 2 million people voted for a Libertarian candidate who was truly a product of the Libertarian movement, and a Libertarian vice president known as Spike, and a guy who could deliver a message like no other, without the aid of really an outside candidate and outside influence. This was a Libertarian election populated by Libertarian candidates, driven by Libertarian philosophy, no holds barred. A lot of learning moments, which is why I am nothing but optimistic for 2022 and especially 2024. The structure of the party. Well, you've got a successful statewide model. Tell me about the flow, if you will, in the First Step project. I guess there's a couple of projects, and I'm very happy to create a little bit of a friendly rivalry between the great state of Pennsylvania and the great state of Florida. I don't know, something called the Molten Maneuver. We had one of the architects on just a handful of weeks ago. And then, of course, there was the First Step project. We won't stress which came first. We'll let individual histories record who did what when.
We'll let the scholars decide that.
All right. But talk to us about, if you will, candidate development. First off,
Sure.
Is there a formal statewide process? Is that driven down to the affiliate level? And of course, maybe just a little conversation about the structure of the local affiliates and how they work alongside of the statewide affiliate.
Sure. So Jim Turney, who is an elected representative, he is a county councilman, Altamont Springs, which is in Central Florida. And he's been an excellent candidate. He's also been LNC chair many years ago. And
fine man.
Great guy. Love Jim to death. I think everybody does that knows Jim. He's just a stand-up guy, and luckily he's retired, so we get to use him full time.
A lot of institutional experience, a lot of institutional memory. Just a type of guy that you can really take from and build around. He's an astonishing contribution to the party.
And so he is definitely just an asset to us, and so he is our candidate support chair and our specialist in that regard. So what we do is we basically figure out who's running for office, either who's announced that they're running, who's interested that we know of, that we reach out to, or who's expressed interest to us directly. We put their names down on the list, and we just make sure we keep in contact with them. And right now there's a Region 2 training, so Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. But if you're not from Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee, let's say you're from South Carolina, you're from Alabama, or if you just want to fly in, as long as you're a registered Libertarian, you can come to our Region 2 training, which is going to be in Atlanta. Exact details to come, but it's going to be over Memorial Day weekend, coming up here in a few months. So if you're interested, it's a 2-day event. We're going to be doing that. I know LP Alaska is doing the Gold Rush event, which is $25 for an individual or $50 for a group, which could be a state party. And I believe that's coming up in a week or two. I'm not sure the exact date. It might be next Sunday, actually. So check that out. For Florida, we are going to be doing some candidates trainings, sessions. We want to do it in person throughout the state, at least a few, and give practical experience and education, not just for the candidate, but also for your campaign team, for your campaign manager. What are the basics of canvassing? What are the fundamentals of a campaign plan? I can't stress this enough. If you're running for office and you do not have a campaign plan, you're probably better off spending your time on something else. Because if I'm going to invest in you, if you were pitching to me a business and I said, "What's your business plan?" and you said, "I don't know." "What are your numbers?" "I don't know." Imagine like an episode of Shark Tank. They're not going to invest. So be sure to have a written campaign plan. Candidates that have campaign plans win elections. So that's number one. Campaign training, learning campaign finance. Everybody's, it's always the scary part is handling money. I don't want to go to jail. Well, it's not that complicated. It's actually pretty simple. You just have to know the rules and the laws and the basics and get used to it. Getting prepared now, start thinking about the future now, getting your team together, not trying to play don't try to put on every hat at once. You have to be the candidate. Let other things go to other folks. Fundraising. So all those fundamentals, those are things that we're going to be having some sessions for, and as well as the LNC, which has really stepped up in the candidate training department. Is really, I got to say, over the past 5 years that I've been on the LNC, this is the best I've seen. The affiliate and the candidate support at those departments have really grown, and I'm very pleased with the accessibility and the interest of the LNC to really get into get into that local level and assist the affiliates in the regions in this way. So I'm happy that we've gone this far, but yeah, the next step's training the teams, training the candidates, and getting them prepared, and run those candidates in those races, those nonpartisan races, and do better than expected. And also another tidbit as well is getting folks enrolled in local municipal organizations. That could be the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, those types of organizations. Get involved, be at your city council meetings, be there all the time, talk, make yourself well known, be respectful, but be passionate and talk about what you're there for. And maybe they'll put you up on a board. Talk to your representative and say, "Hey, do you have any board positions available?" Sign up with the city, get involved with the board, start getting politically involved now. There's nothing stopping you. Or if you got you and two of your friends, you have something you want to speak on, look at the agenda, find something you're passionate about, go down there. You get to talk for, at least in Florida, I think it's 2 or 3 minutes each. And I remember during there was a curfew that the city of Key West wanted to pull on us, and so we got like 10 or 15 business owners and workers and folks, and we just hammered them for like half an hour, 3 minutes each. And believe me, they felt stupid that this was even on the agenda. They backed off. They've been pretty hardcore and everything else up till then. So your voice has value. So use it. You're more powerful than you think you are. People think that just because, with everything going on, you feel like your voice doesn't have value. Be City Hall. Go and go and speak and be the voice. It makes a difference.
Do you have to wait until you're given a title to do the work?
No, absolutely not. I think that sometimes the work precedes the title in many cases, and I find people doing just amazing work, and they really become rising stars, and we're sure to recognize them and their contributions. But I can tell who's really working hard and who wants to make a difference. Um, no, you don't need a title to do volunteer work. We're all volunteers. Even me as chair, I'm a volunteer. Even though I'm an elected official, I'm a volunteer to be here. I don't get paid to be here. So if you see something that you're passionate about, that you want to get involved with, just ask. Just ask. Get involved. We could always use your help. I mean, if I had somebody right now that told me, hey, I want to work on X, Y, and Z, I'd say, look, you want to do this? Go for it. I'm not going to hold you back. I'm going to give you permission to give yourself permission to do this, because
Right.
We definitely we always can use all hands on deck.
Final area before we give you an opportunity for shameless self-promotion. By the way, I want to note that Paul Robbins from the Alaska Libertarian Party joined us a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the gold rush. That's the weekend of the 17th. And I will tell you, if you have nothing planned for that Saturday and you are thinking about a candidacy, you are thinking about a perhaps an administrative position or a position within the framework of the party itself, there is probably going to be no better assemblage of talent. All respect to everyone else. It's sort of a slugger's row, a murderer's row, if you will, of libertarian. Clayton Clover is going to be talking about social media. Spike Cohen himself. You talk about you are the power, not having to wait for a title. The man himself is going to be there. A wide variety of libertarian leaders are going to be there. And, for a minimal cost, you can live stream it, and it's almost as good as partying in Alaska. Not quite, but, this is what we'll have to pass with for this year. And then maybe next year they'll do it again, and we can all show up en masse. Affiliate structure. I know that we've gone long here, but this has been listen, I have to compliment you. You've given us an outstanding presentation of what's going on in the state, and you've really raised the bar tonight. How many affiliates do you have? And do you have, if you will, a methodology to developing affiliates in a state, once again, as diverse, as complex, as nuanced as Florida?
Well, Florida has 52 counties, and I'm embarrassed I can't give you an exact number, but roughly half are affiliated. We're a pretty big state. Essentially, as far as affiliates go, we've got some real rock star affiliates. We've got Pinellas and the guys on the West Coast, which are fantastic. We've got Broward County, which those guys are rock stars. Miami-Dade. You've got Duval County up in Jacksonville. You've got Volusia County, which is a bunch of hard workers there. You've got Bay County up in the Panhandle, which, by the way, is 15 hours from Key West. I would know because I drove there for our convention 2 years ago. It's a long drive. I never knew Florida was as wide as it was long. Seminole County, we've got, Orlando, Brevard, which is another rising affiliate. It seems like everybody's moving to Brevard County. So we've got counties all over the place: Osceola, Polk, Hillsborough, Lee, Palm Beach. I mean, there's quite a few. There's a wide variety of people, and I'm so impressed, and I'm so proud. I'm really I'm just honored to be able to represent everybody, because I remember just going out and visiting some of these affiliates and seeing the work that people are doing. I mean, there are affiliates that have as many what do you call it? They've got as many different committees, subcommittees as the executive committee for Florida. It's crazy. And they're stocked, and they're all doing work. They've got legislative action, this and that, and loads of volunteers. I remember one year the Miami-Dade affiliate had about 72 people at their county convention. Broward had about 50, 60 a few years back. It's crazy. And what I love is seeing the committees work together and seeing them work with their neighboring affiliates, and seeing them really spread a lot of the knowledge, and seeing what works and what doesn't work, and how they can help each other out become better. It's a beautiful thing. And quite frankly, the affiliates are where it matters. The state party is there as a support system. We're there to give a vision. We're there to give support. We're there to hold the convention every year. We're there to be, the communications folks that put out the messaging and rally people up and do certain things and all that. But really, 99% of it's going to happen at the affiliate level. That's where all the magic happens. So truly, the more local you are, the bigger your impact is going to be. if you're thinking about starting an affiliate, all you have to do is grab yourself, and 2 more friends, and you guys can file the paperwork, become an official Libertarian Party of Florida affiliate. We've got guides that are very extensive on how to do that. We've got the affiliate support committee, which is fantastic. We got Lee Kortzer, who's the head of affiliate support. And we also have our 14 region reps that are all amazing and always willing to help get affiliates off the ground. And anybody else on the EC would also be willing enough to helping anybody that's interested in getting involved. So affiliate structure, we know, is just pretty basic. It's your standard executive committee on the affiliate side. We usually just try to give them support. They're an autonomous body, so they do their thing, and we just try to help them out and make sure that they can be as successful as they can be.
Outstanding. Before we give you an opportunity to, again, engage in shameless self-promotion, I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, this Friday night in Candidates Corner, Nathan Covington, Tim McMaster, and Rob Luther are all engaged in special elections in the great state of Pennsylvania. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have the three of them on simultaneously. We're going to have a little bit of a Pennsylvania panel there to talk about their campaigns. Again, priority is set for folks engaged in special elections throughout the year. And if you're a candidate and you're contemplating running for office, and you get the basics set up, you've got your social media going, you've got a campaign committee, you're beginning the journey, if you will, we'd invite you to contact us here at Candidates Corner and also the Affiliate Spotlight to let us know. My name is Pat Ford. I'm all over the web. Just talk to your LNC rep or talk to me. I'm on social media, although right now I'm at 4,999 friends. So I got to, yikes, do a little work there. Dave Jones is, of course, the relatively new, it's been a few weeks now, chairman of the Tennessee affiliate. He's going to be joining us next Monday at 9 o'clock, both shows, Fridays for the Candidates Corner, Monday for the Affiliate Spotlight at 9 o'clock. And he's going to be talking about what's going on in Tennessee. I also want to make an important point here. The folks that are joining us have joined us in the last few weeks as we formally introduced the show, and some of the folks in prior weeks who were just sort of an extension of the candidate show. These are not only just the current leaders of the libertarian movement in this country at the state level. I am convinced, as I am convinced our candidates amongst us will be presidential and senatorial candidates. I am convinced that you are talking to people who in the near future will run this party nationally, as libertarians run things, of course. But ultimately, you're meeting firsthand folks who are currently making a huge difference in their communities, currently rewriting, if you will, the political history of their states and their county regions, and they are bringing it in the fullest sense of the word. Despite our difference over individual issues and our approach to issues, I want people to remain highly confident that the Libertarian Party and philosophy is not only alive and well, it is thriving. What's happened in this country now is nothing less than proof of concept for every step of every panel, every plank of our belief system. And it's gentlemen like Stephen Nekhalia and the guests we've had in the past few weeks who are going to continue to move us as a party, us as a philosophy forward against these challenges. And I feel more confident than ever that this is our time. Stephen, tell us, if you will, shameless self-promotion about the Libertarian Party of Florida. If you have any events coming up, and again, how folks who are listening in Florida, or maybe, I don't know why, contemplating a move to the Free Republic of Florida, hypothetically say you live in a statist Soviet workers' paradise, like say Rhode Island, where the weather is awful and the government's even worse, you could move to a place like Florida and become an activist. Tell us how to find you.
Sure. Well, first off, what better state to move to than Florida? It seems like I think we're either number 1 or number 2. We might have just surpassed Texas on the most people moving to any one state. So get out of where you're at. Come and make Florida even better. We'd love to have you. And of course, you can head over to lpf.org and go ahead and become a member, donate. We could really always use your donations, especially if you're listening to this right now. If you're from the state of Florida and you're not donating, please consider donating. If you're currently donating to the national, that's great, but also make sure you donate to Florida as well if you want to see that money used here locally within the state. Always very helpful. We're trying to do some great things to really break out over the next year. So I got some exciting plans coming up for us. If you have any questions, you can always email me at chair@lpf.org or steven.nekhalia@lp.org. If you know how to spell that, good luck to you. And I'm always here. I'm always available. And you can always give us a call on our phone number on the site as well. And find your local affiliate. Look and see if there's a local affiliate in your area. If there's not, we can hook you up with some locals and go ahead and create one. We're always looking for some new affiliates and for some new blood, and we'd love to have you. And if anybody has any questions for me on anything from anywhere, be sure to reach out to me. I'm always available as a LNC rep as well as Florida State Chair, and as a fellow Libertarian. I'm here to serve, and I'm honored to serve you guys. And we work for everybody that wants to make freedom their home and make this party grow as the centrifugal force of liberty that it is. So, by the way, our convention is June 11th through the 13th. It's going to be in Lakeland, Florida. Love to have y'all. Whoever wants to come down, if you're in a state nearby, consider buying some cheap plane tickets, coming down and join us for a fun weekend, and look forward to seeing you there.
Excellent. Stephen Nekhalia, a member of the Libertarian National Committee, and tonight's show is serving in his capacity as chairman of the Libertarian Party of Florida. Stephen, congratulations to everyone in the Libertarian Party of Florida for standing tall during difficult times on a number of different levels and growing despite the best efforts of our government and being an important part, a critical component of our fight for freedom in our lifetime. Thanks for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Pat. Thanks for having me.
We are, in fact, the Affiliate Spotlight, a product of LPTV, Libertarian Party Television. Libertarian National Committee Chair, Joseph Bishop Henchman. Valerie Sarwak as Chair of the Libertarian LNC Affiliate Support Committee. All key and integral components in building LPTV as a great way to deliver the libertarian philosophy to members long and new. Again, we'll be back on Friday night. We're going to have a panel of candidates from the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. They're all four of them are running. Three of us joined us Friday. One was with us just a few weeks ago. They've all got a special collection coming up. If you have a few minutes and a few dollars, reach out to LPPA and Steve Sheets and his crew to help those folks out. And of course, next Monday on the Affiliate Support Show, Mr. Jones, great state of Tennessee. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you Friday night. Good night.